When you have hair loss, it can be such a scary and deceivingly lonely place. But you know what? You're not alone. You are here with me. Welcome to the Alternative Hair Alchemist podcast. Hi, I'm Deborah Heim. I am a certified alternative hair specialist, a wig boutique owner, and wig wearer myself due to alopecia. And this is my Tell It Like It Is take on all things alternative hair. I also happen to be a certified confidence coach, so I'm going to be sprinkling in some mindset hacks for good measure. So take a deep breath, sit back and relax, and listen to my favorite ways and my best advice on how I help others and help myself to rock that alternative hair. We're going to drop that shame and stigma. What is that about anyway? Now, let's do this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Alternative Hair Alchemist podcast. This is Deborah Heim, and since it's been 2 years since I've had this podcast, which blows my mind, but since people seem to still be finding it, even though, I only put it out every so often, I decided I'm going to take a minute and reintroduce myself and tell you about why I do what I do. Now, I probably don't mention these things often enough, only because I feel like I don't want to just brag or boast, because I've done a lot of studying, and to me, I think everybody should do that and that everybody does it. So I kind of take it for granted that I don't need to tell people about my qualifications. But then it occurred to me, I need to do that because there are a lot of people giving advice, and I want you to know when you get advice to me where it's coming from and what it's based on. Because honestly, out there are a lot of people that are calling themselves alternative hair specialists, and they're coming to you with that from the basis of what works for them or what they've learned online, which honestly, when you do research, it's often one of the worst things that you can do if you're new to alternative hair. And I'll tell you why. And that might sound crazy. You have to read what you're reading with a grain of salt, because most of the information put out there is by somebody that wants to sell you something. Okay? So when I tell you something, it is not based on me wanting to sell you any particular thing. I try and present the information to you from all sides and tell you what my experience was and whether I recommend it or not, and why. So that's what you're getting when you come to my shop. When you get an alternative hair consultation, you're going to get information that is right for you, based on you. When you come through the door, I talk to you, I connect with your energy, you tell me a little bit about yourself, and we can do it online, but I just love in-person work. But anyway, yeah, so sometimes if you want information from a professional, then that's the best thing to do. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. Like, what is the price differences? Why are they so different from online and in a shop? And I'm going to tell you all about that. But before we get to it, I am certified by John Renault more than once. Hair you wear. I keep up with education from Ellen Willa at least every year. Belle Tress, I know the owner. Belle Madame, I know the U.S. representative, and I get my questions answered by her. Same thing with Tony of Beverly. And Tress Allure and John Renault have also been to my shop, because I like to find out all the information so that when I'm telling a client something, I got it right from the source, not from somebody else. Also, I am a registered nurse with experience in the emergency room with almost every department in the hospital, as a matter of fact. So sometimes my clients with chronic illness, also I've recovered from chronic illnesses myself, so there's that goes into it. And I've also trained as a life coach and an energy healer. So, there it is. That's all in a nutshell. And it took me, 4 minutes to get it all out. And that way you can know what I'm about and where my info is coming from. Okay, let's get to it. Also, though, let me state that anybody that has information to share, I honor that. But just be careful when you're listening to somebody. Just know where the information is coming from. So when you're going for an alternative hair consultation, that's the questions you want to ask. What are your qualifications? How often do you certify? I can tell you firsthand that the technology, the pricing, the styles, oh my gosh, every 3 months it's like changing. So you have to stay current, in my opinion. A lot of times, hairdressers that are advising their hair loss clients, this may or may not always be the case, but a lot of them are basing their information on what they've worn 20 years ago or, because they do hair extensions. And let me tell you, when you get a wig that fits your head properly, it's an entire world of difference from extensions or anything like that. I think a fair question is to ask them, what is your experience doing this? And it's not to say that it's a bad thing to just be starting, but if someone is basing their knowledge off of helping, like at this point, 3,000 people, then, you can take it to the bank that what I'm saying doesn't just work for me. And a lot of times with influencers or what have you, they're giving you the information that works for them or that people that follow them, and that is good too. That is good too. But you want to keep it in mind. Because just because somebody's worn wigs themselves for a number of years or had a mother that's worn them for a number of years, that's an entire world of difference from staying current and staying up to date. So all information is great. That's how we're going to progress when we all help each other. But if you're basing a purchase on the information, that's when you want to know that it's the most reliable for you. Another good question to ask is ask them what exactly goes into the wig consultation, because I see people offering wig consultations all the time. Now, when I offer it to you in my shop, the difference is you're going to be able to try on tons of different wigs from different manufacturers and have somebody that is qualified currently there to tell you if it's the best one for your head. That is the number one thing that I think I see out of all the people that have been to my shop is it's kind of taken for granted how important and how nice it is to be able to try a wig on in a place with lighting and someone there and you're there in private. I also know that people don't even realize how many wigs they've tried on, because when you get excited and they're coming on and coming off, on the average, minimum person tries on 10 wigs. Most of the time, it's 20 to 30. Now, some of those wigs may be the same few back over again to be able to compare the two, but the time flies because it is so much fun. And you can see all the possibilities. So when you're coming for a consultation, one of the things you want to know is how much time would you be in the try-on, which leads me to the first reason of why it's going to be more expensive to go to a wig shop than simply ordering online. And there are a lot of reasons for the price difference. In fact, there are so many, I don't know if I'm going to get to them all in this episode, but still, it's something to keep in mind. Keep in mind the cost of when you order one wig and you return it. You've paid for shipping to you, usually back to them, also a restocking fee, which can get like $30. Let's just use that for an example. So times that by 10 or 20. And when you go to a wig shop and you're able to try that many wigs on, that's how much you saved. Don't forget, the cost of us getting education, and also the cost of the wigs we have there. Like I hear all the time about how expensive wigs are. Well, how do you think we feel? I have 200 or 300 at the least, sometimes more than that, for you to try on. And I don't just stock wigs that are going to work for me. And most wig shops do keep that in mind. So there's a huge cost factor right there covered that does, unfortunately, get worked into the price. The next factor of making it more expensive is the fact of you are trying it on in a lighted area, in hopefully a nice atmosphere. We have to pay rent, electricity, Wi-Fi, and the cost of fixtures. So that goes into the cost at a wig shop. But again, keep in mind how many you're able to try on with professional advice, and that might make the cost a little bit more in line or worth it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I am the type of person that wants to get it right or get it as close to right as on the first time. So some people aren't like that. They actually like to, take their time trying things on, sending them back. And the thinking behind that is a whole different reason. And that could be a podcast in itself. There are some people that feel more comfortable in the indecision stage. And like I said, whole nother episode. And even if somebody has part of their home dedicated to the alternative hair consultation, they still have all those same expenses as well. Next reason, most everyone that I know of, or at least all people that are authorized dealers, okay, and those are the words you want to ask, have the first quality of the wigs that they produce. Now, what do I mean by first quality? There are some vendors on the internet and also some shops that sell like the outlet version or the returned of any wig. There are several vendors that openly admit that they send their closeouts, their returns, things that didn't work so well, they send those at a much lesser price. So the cost of the wig to the person selling it to you is part of the factor. And yes, you can find things really cheap online, but you want to know what you're getting. Now, the wig vendors are required. They are supposed to have whoever's selling their outlets and their returns disclose it. But I'll tell you, sometimes that information is not promptly visible on the website. And for, you know how tricky advertising can be when you're watching a medication advertising. The side effects are real fast and they're at the bottom because that's not what they want you to pay attention to. So if someone is selling you outlets, or there are so many knockoffs out there, that's why authorized dealer, if someone is an authorized dealer, you can be reliably sure that those are items from the real deal, not from counterfeit. And usually authorized dealers have to stay up to date on their education, like I'm talking about. And everyone that I know of that I talk to does a really diligent job in making sure that they are up to date with their education. So when you see a super low price that, again, too good to be true, I have a whole episode about that, that should alert you to investigate a little further. Now, it may be fine for you. Maybe that outlet version will work for you. But again, if you're looking to get the absolute best, it's all about your standards, whether you want to get from a shop or not. Now, there are authorized dealers that don't have a shop. And again, that I'm not going to speak to because I don't do it. But just keep in mind, if it's important to you to get the ones that are not quality rejects or returns, part of it is keep in mind, what do you need this alternative hair for? If it's something that you're going to be wearing every day or as close to that as possible, and you want to make sure that your details are fine, then that's when you want to take your time and go to an authorized dealer. If you're just looking for something to wear out, or you really don't care and you're just trying something new, that is a great time to grab a super sale price. So I'm looking at my notes and I just realized there is so much information that I want to cover that I'm going to break this subject up into at least 2 parts. So consider this part 1, and I've covered what a wig or alternative hair consultation should include. Remember, alternative hair may include a topper that's going to look realistic. So I apologize when I talk about examples. I usually just use wig or a full unit as reference, but please do not underestimate how much improvement can be to your life with topper. So again, that is included when you go to a shop. You are probably getting somebody that has that experience as well. And let me tell you, putting toppers on different people, different sizes, different hair textures, it's a huge difference from just, looking at somebody and thinking what that they should order. So, you're going to get the experience and the advice. And next episode, I'm going to talk about the differences in pricing themselves and the quality differences and all of that good stuff. So if you've listened this far, thank you for listening, and be sure to check the next episode. And I think I'm going to release them a little closer in sequence so that you don't have to wait so long for the next episode. So again, thank you. I love you. Peace, love, and alternative hair. If you enjoyed this episode, you might like working with me one-on-one even better. You can check out the options at deborahheim.com. You can find my shop at verybestlittlehairhouse.com. And don't forget my Wise Wig Advice and Support group, also on Facebook. I'd love to hear from you. But until next time, peace, love, and alternative hair.